What's going on, Tamers? So we're doing our weekly review of the EX3 Dragon's Roar set that's going to be released here soon in Japan, and we got a ton of new information about cards last week. We got updates on the 4-Gate Dragons archetype, we got D-Brigade info, we got green info, and we also got a lot of support for the 4-Gate Dragons archetype as well. So if you're interested in any of those, keep watching. So let's just hop into it and talk a little bit first about the 4-Gate Dragons cards that got revealed last week. The first one was the actual option, Trial of the 4-Gate Dragons. It's a 8-cost yellow option, I know, kind of heavy. But it does allow you to draw one, and then delay, you can actually play a 4-Gate Dragons type Digimon from your hand onto the field. Keep in mind, this comes with a couple of restrictions. You cannot Digivolve that Digimon until level 7, and it is destroyed at the end of your opponent's turn after that. So you get it for one turn, but because of the way these cards are made, once you get one of the 4-Gate Dragons out, most of their deletion effects allow you to play another Trial of the 4-Gate Dragons from your hand. So you kind of steamroll turn after turn after turn with the effect and keep getting those dragons out every single turn. We also got information on one of the other 4-Gate Dragons, Holy Dramon, who on play gives your opponent's Digimon -1 security attack, and then if you have Trial of the 4-Gate Dragons on the board, it gives them -2 security attack for the turn instead. And then like the others, he also plays the Trial of the 4-Gate Dragons whenever he's deleted. And we also got access to what I assume is going to be, the boss monster or the boss card for the deck, and that's going to be Goldramon or Goldramon. Unlike the other 4-Gate Dragons, it seems that he's Evo based, so you actually want to evolve into him rather than just hard play him. But on Evo, you can pull one of the 4-Gate Dragons cards from your trash and add it back to your hand, whether that's the option or, one of the actual Digimon themselves. Also on attack, he gives one of your opponent's Digimon -6,000 DP for the turn. But the real kicker is if you can take one of each of the other 4-Gate Dragons from your trash and put them up under your deck on the attack, you can actually discard 2 of your opponent's securities. Super powerful effect, but it'll be interesting to see how easy it is to get those cards in the trash themselves. And then alongside Goldramon, we also got the option card Goldra Flame. It's a yellow option, which allows you to give one of your opponent's Digimon -6,000 DP for the turn, and it also returns one of the 4-Gate Dragons cards from your trash to your hand. I think this archetype is shaping up to be a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. I really, week 1, I really thought this was going to be like a Mega Zoo sort of deck, but it seems like that you are going to use some cards as support to evolve into the Goldramon, and that's when you really pop off with your effects. So it'll be interesting to see the support cards that are released alongside that, and we got a couple of those. We'll talk a little about them a little bit later in the video. So next, let's take a look at some of the D-Brigade support that we got last week. So we got 3 cards last week. The first one's going to be Missimon, which the level 2 D-Brigade card allows you to get Reboot if you have another D-Brigade type Digimon on the board. So you need at least 2 Digimon to gain this effect. Alongside him, we also got Sealsdramon. Sealsdramon in the past was more of a defensive type card, allowing you to have blocker. This version of Sealsdramon actually has jamming, which I think makes it a lot more useful for those aggressive style Commandramon and D-Brigade decks, which is known for. And then additionally, on Inheritance, all of your Commandramon that come onto the field during your turn gain Rush, which means now you can use the old Tankdramon's effect to play a Commandramon, or the old Commandramon effects to look at the top couple cards and play Commandramon from there, and then attack again with those. Finally, we got an updated Tankdramon, who on Evolve allows you to take a look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then grab your level 5 D-Brigade type card among them, and play them on the field. That combined with the Inheritance effect from Sealsdramon, allowing you to gain Rush if it's a Commandramon, seems like a really powerful combo. And then additionally, Tankdramon also has an Inheritance effect where when you attack, you open the top 2 cards of your deck, and if one of them is a Commandramon, you can play them on the field immediately. The updates so far are looking really interesting for D-Brigade, and because of the aggressive nature of the game right now, I'm really excited for this archetype to come back in and see play again. I've already got all my copies of Commandramon lined up, so when that set drops, that's going to be one of my day 1 decks to build. We also got some interesting cards last week to help out what I assume is going to be the green Bloomlord archetype. Bloomlord really underperformed when he came out here in BT10 and is unfortunately struggling to find a place in the meta right now. With the addition of the 3 new cards, Pomomon, Parasaurmon, and Hydramon, I really think those will help the deck out. The first one is Pomomon, who's a level 3 plant-type Digimon, who, whenever he is rested, allows you to rest one of your opponent's Digimon. Next up is Parasaurmon, who has a really interesting effect of where, whenever you rest him, you can reduce the play cost of a green Digimon you play by 1 for the turn, which is kind of nice. It's very similar to the Tentomon effect that we got back in, I think, EX1. And additionally, on Inheritance, he has Pomomon's effect, so if you rest him, then you can rest one of your opponent's Digimon as well. And finally, we've got Hydramon, probably the most cracked green card I've seen in a long time. First of all, on Evolve, he allows you to rest one of your opponent's Digimon. And then on both turns, whenever one of your opponent's Digimon is rested, you gain 1 memory for each rested fairy and or plant type on your side of the board. On both turns, you get that effect, once per turn. And then finally, at the end of your turn, if you have at least 2 Digimon who are plant or fairy type that are rested, you can send one of your opponent's rested Digimon to the bottom of their deck. So he does it all. He gives you memory gain, he rests opponent's Digimon, he has clear, So it really feels like Hydramon is now the card that you're going to be gunning for, at least the level 6, that you're going to be gunning for if you're playing green. And then once you get your Hydramons out and you can establish dominance on the board, then you're going to play out your Bloom Lordmon to finish the game up. So let's circle back on around to the 4 Great Dragons archetype for a moment. So last week we also got 2 forms of support for the deck. The first one is going to be the yellow line, which features Agumon and some of the Vidramon Digimon. First one, Agumon, no base effect on his own, but he does have the inheritance effect of whenever you would play a Trial of the 4 Great Dragons or a 4 Great Dragon type Digimon, you get to draw one. Next up we have the yellow Vidramon, who on Digivolve allows you to open top 4 cards of your deck and then grab one Digimon with Doramon in its name, super simple, nice targeting for the entire deck, as well as one 4 Great Dragons type card and add one of each to your hand. And then on inheritance, whenever you would play another 4 Great Dragons type Digimon card, it gains Rush for the turn. This means once you play those Dragon type Digimon out with the Trial of the 4 Great Dragons option card, they can swing immediately as well. Finally, for the yellow line, we have Aero Vidramon, who, if you don't have a Trial of the 4 Great Dragons out on the field whenever you Digivolve into him, you can play one from your hand for free. Additionally, on your opponent's turn, if you have the Trial out or one of the 4 Great Dragon type Digimon out on the board while you have the Aero Vidramon, the Aero Digimon himself gains blocker for the turn. And then on inheritance, another defensive ability, giving all of your 4 Great Dragon type cards blocker on your opponent's turn. And rounding out today's video, the last set of cards we got information on as support for the 4 Great Dragons archetype is actually going to be the Guidomon line. In the past, Guidomon has always either been red or purple. In this case, we're getting them both together in dual color cards for all of these guys. So first up is the Guidomon, who on delete allows you to delete a 3000 DP or lower Digimon on the board, and then if you cannot do that, if there's no target, both players discard the top 2 cards of their deck. So next up we have the purple-red Growlmon. Growlmon on Digivolve allows you to delete a 3000 or lower DP Digimon, and then if you can't do that, both players also discard the top 2 cards of their deck. So it gets the Guidomon's on deletion effect, but for Evo. And then on inheritance, you can actually destroy one of your other Digimon on the board and give this Digimon security attack +1. And the last card we're going to be covering for today is actually the Megalo Growlmon. On Digivolve, both players discard the top 3 cards of their deck, and then if one of the players, you or your opponent, has 5 cards in trash, a very low bar to be honest, you can play either a Guidomon or a Takuto Tamer from your trash or from your hand onto the field for free. So with these cards, which support the 4 Great Dragons archetype, is that you would use the Guidomon, Growlmon, Megalo Growlmon effects to trash cards, and hopefully some of those cards trash are the 4 Great Dragons, and then later on when you get your Gondramon, you can swing, take those 4 Great Dragons you trash from the top of your deck, put them back at the bottom of the deck, and then get the trash to your opponent's security. So this way you're building up the resources, hopefully you get those dragons in the trash, and then get the effects later on. Anyway folks, that's going to do it for me in this week's review of the Dragon's Roar set. Let me know what cards you're interested in seeing in EX3. Are you high on Hopium for green like I am? Are you welcoming, D-Brigade Overlords back into your heart? Are you excited still for the Trial of the Great Dragons, or are you not excited based off of what you've seen so far? Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button before you get out of here as well, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, guys.